I cannot believe it. The Chicago Bears have hired Ben Johnson to be their next head coach. I am just as stunned as you all are. And I think it's appropriate, yes, it's appropriate to say that we are all surprised. Let's talk about it.
And it's blocked! Oh my goodness, the Packers block it, and they're gonna win!
Welcome back to Second City Sports Talk. I'm Wyatt Ballmeyer, and hey, we're in a new setup. I am currently in my dorm room here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. My roommate's wall is to the back. I got all my Bears flags and Cubs flags on the opposite side. I'll give a tour at some point, but it's good to be back on campus. And look, this is going to be the home of Second City Sports Talk for the foreseeable future, so I will try to make this background somewhat better, but for the meanwhile, this is what we're working with. And hey, today's a great day, no matter how you view it, a great day to be a Chicago Bears fan. Now, if you haven't been living under a rock for the last couple days, you would think all the hype around Ben Johnson would be toward a team like the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, last couple days, all the talk, Ben Johnson to the Raiders. He wants to work with Tom Brady. Mark Davis is going to throw a cash cow at Ben Johnson to be their next head coach. And, you know, early this morning, stuff starts to trickle in. You hear some rumors. Oh, Ben Johnson and the Bears really picking up steam. Then you have people like the Shohei Ohtani situation are tracking a charter plane from Pontiac to Pewaukee Executive Airport, which is right outside of Chicago. And it ended up not mattering, but Ben Johnson signed or will sign tomorrow, according to Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune. He will sign the official contract tomorrow, but he is the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. And look, I have not felt this much joy as a Bears fan, well, since they drafted Caleb Williams, but we all know how that went. And look, I made a resolution to myself at the beginning of this year not to get too excited about this Bears team, because we already know the problem. It's ownership. It's the McCaskey family. Ryan Poles as well has a lot of issues. Kevin Warren hasn't been a great start to his Bears tenure as the president and CEO of the Chicago Bears franchise. And you know what? Credit must be given where credit is due. Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles, they got this done. They are the smartest looking people in the entire NFL today. They went out there, identified the top candidate, and they brought him in. Now, the contract right now is rumored to be somewhere around $13 million a year, which would put him, I believe, 7th on the active head coaching payroll, of course, behind greats such as Andy Reid and Sean McVay. And what this means for the Bears as well, they got their guy. And people were panicking for, I would say, the entirety of this early offseason. Oh, the Chicago Bears are interviewing 19 people. And you know what? It doesn't matter. They got Ben Johnson. I know people were saying, oh, McCarthy, Mike Kafka, Pete Carroll. They're bringing in all sorts of people from all sorts of varieties. And you know what? They still got their top target. That was all a red mirage, a red herring. Ryan Poles meant business. He got his guy, and the rest is history. As far as what the Bears are getting with Ben Johnson, this is an offensive genius, the arguably one of the best, if not the best, offensive minds in football. In his 3 seasons as the offensive coordinator up in Detroit, 3 top 10 offenses. He has done absolutely amazing stuff with Jared Goff. Yes, Jared Goof, the same guy who threw 2 picks in the NFC divisional round a couple days ago. And if you look at that game, the Washington Commanders outplayed the Detroit Lions. And really, Ben Johnson, I thought, did fine outside of a couple strange plays. You talk about the Jameson Williams trick throw that was ended up getting picked off. Outside of that, the team still put up over 20 points. That's not why they lost the game. They lost because of Aaron Glenn's defense. And yes, pretty much the entirety of that Detroit defense is hurt, but they still lost the game. Yet, it really wasn't Ben Johnson's fault. He still pretty much schemed up a great game. And if you look at what he's worked with, I mean, Jared Goff, like, come on, this guy is not a good quarterback. We've seen him when the lights are brightest. You go back to the 2018 Super Bowl, threw up a stinker. And just think about what Ben Johnson's going to have to work with and what he will have to work with. You're going to have Caleb Williams in his second year, hopefully improving upon what he did this year. You're going to have, you're going to have hopefully an entire new offensive line to block for Caleb Williams because, look, that was a huge issue. This offensive line was horrible. The only two starters and probably only starter that should be returning is Darnell Wright. I mean, Braxton Jones got hurt against the Seahawks, and he should be ready for training camp, but Braxton Jones is not a top quality tackle, especially left tackle. In the interiors, I mean, Coleman Shelton at center, he's gone. Tevin Jenkins cannot stay healthy. He's gone as well. And really, Matt Pryor, like, come on now. These are backup guards. This team needs an entire new interior offensive line. And I think Ben Johnson is going to make sure Ryan Poles does that. You look at skill position-wise, I mean, you're still going to have DJ Moore off of a down year where he's still almost at close to 100 catches. You're going to have Rome Odunze in year 2. You're going to need a wide receiver 3, but they can address that in free agency or the draft. You're going to have Swift at running back, who can hopefully be used better than how the Bears were using him, because, look, he is not an every down back. You know, maybe you get a guy in the draft like a Cam Scadaboo, somebody like that. ASU represent right there. He's a stud. Be a later round pick, but still a back that you can use in heavy situations, because Swift is not an every down back. He is not a heavy back. He is not the type of back that you charge up the middle. He's going to be working to the perimeters. You have Cole Kmet, who should be a top 5 to 10 tight end in football if he's even used correctly. The Bears have just not used him correctly the last 2 years. And, you know, when they do use him, we're talking about a top player in football, at least a top tight end in football. He has great catching ability and just is a great teammate as well. So this offense, you know, doesn't need much more. I understand the offensive line is a huge issue, and we'll talk about that down the road. But outside of that, you know, I mean, this team should be competitive next year, especially with a play caller to the caliber of Ben Johnson. As far as the staff that Ben Johnson is bringing in, right now the rumor is that Dennis Allen will be the defensive coordinator here in Chicago. Now, Dennis Allen, the head coach, not so good. He's been fired twice. Most recently in New Orleans a couple months ago. But as a defensive coordinator, this dude is consistently putting out top 10 defenses. And coming from an Eberflus defense, Dennis Allen should hopefully be a pretty big upgrade. Now, there's still some rumors about where else they're going to fill, and I'm not going to name anything yet just because it's not official, but there are names rumbling. The hot stove for football is getting hot. And look, the rumor is, of course, according to Tom Pelissero, actually the first reporter who broke this news that Ben Johnson was signing with the Bears, he thinks that, well, Ben Johnson's bringing in a star-studded staff. We're talking about proven coaches at coordinator positions and just coaching positions in general. You know, Dennis Allen was not a good head coach, but he brings head coaching experience. You know, somebody who's going to aid Ben Johnson, because we can't forget that, you know, Ben Johnson's a first-time head coach. He's going to have to get used to calling plays and being the CEO of the team, which we've seen great coordinators not translate well as good head coaches, and Dennis Allen is a great example of that. So I think, yes, we should be happy that Ben Johnson is here in Chicago, but at the same time, be a bit cautious. He's never been a head coach before. Great coordinators don't always make great head coaches. But Ben Johnson has all the tangibles. He has all the traits to be a great head coach and lead the Bears back to the promised days, a place that they have not seen in quite a long time.